again, and welcome to the latest episode of D-Town TV. I'm Larry Becker, and this is our C's replacement today, Pete Collins. Now, Pete is one of the Photoshop guys, and he does an awful lot of stuff around here. Among the things that he does here is quite a bit of photography. Now, you come from a photography background.
Yeah, I kind of come from all over, graphic design, photography. I've done a little bit of everything. Graduated with an art degree, so I studied photography. Oh, I need to look out there and...
No, they don't care.
Oh, yeah.
They care about the photography part.
Okay, yeah, I've done photography.
Because like me, I did physics before, and I've developed nuclear reactors, but they don't care. All right, so Pete is standing in with us as well today, and you'll see Pete classes on Kelby training.
Yeah. Kelby Media. Yeah. I'm doing some trainings on brushes, beginner classes. I'm getting my feet wet in a lot of things over there. I'm the new guy over at NAPP, National Association of Photoshop Professionals.
Very cool.
And figuring things out.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Pete. As always, we are streaming live, so if you're watching the replay, sorry you missed all the action live. It's going on live right now at kelbytv.com/on-air. And we're going to do 2 episodes today, but the second one doesn't get reposted until later. So if you want to see a week early before anybody else, just keep watching. There's usually a break, like 4 or 5 minutes in between shows, and then we're going to come back, and Pete and I will do a second show with different shirts to fake everybody out. It's going to be kind of cool.
Now, it's not as cool as if you were able to watch Jeopardy, 2 shows of Jeopardy back to back. Then you could sit there and act like you knew all the answers with your friends. Please. You're not going to learn a lot just by watching it live.
That's true. Okay, so we have one other thing to remind you of, and that is Photoshop World. And that's coming up in September, and we're all going to be there. PhotoshopWorld.com is the place to go to get more details about it. Tons of great Photoshop, Lightroom, and photography training sessions, pre-conference sessions, just incredible stuff.
It's one of the best things out there. I was coming to it and just begging my art directors and stuff to send me to it before I ever got involved to this degree with NAPP. I was going every year that I could because it's such an awesome thing. We're going to be in Las Vegas, September 5th through the 7th, and there's an early bird sign up that you'll save $100 if you sign up before August 3rd.
So you got to do it.
Yep. It's a great thing.
Okay, we're going to start off with tips on photography, and believe it or not, I've got a video awareness tip for still shooters. Now, we know that most of the folks that tune in to D-Town are still shooters. That's who our audience is. We know who our audience is. We also know that these days, you buy a DSLR, and an awful lot of them have video capabilities built in. And I was recently out of town on vacation, and a friend of mine and I were filming some promos for him and his company at this particular resort where we were, and I was learning all kinds of important things about video. And then I came back and talked to our video department and asked all these questions, because I think I know the camera pretty well. But the challenge is the settings when you're doing video are going to be very different, and the things that you care about are going to be very different. So I made up a quick little list of tips for digital SLR still shooters who have yet to really get into the video. These things are the things you want to jot down and be aware of. Number 1, don't think your zooming is going to look smooth and pretty like it does on the TV shows. It's always zooming on most lenses on DSLRs sucks. It's jittery. You try and do the smooth zoom in, and for the most part, what I'm finding from my friends who shoot DSLR for video professionally is they say, well, a quick rack zoom where you just zoom it real fast, that's one thing. You can get away with that. But the thing where you try and do a nice smooth zoom and then slow down, your zoom ring will tend to creep just a little bit toward the end, and then it just looks really bad and ugly. Consider seriously turning off autofocus, because autofocus is always trying to find the focus, and that's great when you're shooting stills and everything gets locked down, you hit the shutter, the mirror flips out of the way, the image gets captured. But in video, with all that constantly changing information, in most cameras, and certainly with my D7000, the autofocus thing was just an awful, awful experience. So I used the autofocus to kind of get me close to where the focus was, put it in manual. And that brings up another point. How do you focus best using manual focus with digital video? And all the video folks here are kind of smiling because they do this stuff all the time. But one of the things that I found, and again, it's the best way to do it, is when you're setting up a scene and you're trying to focus on somebody and shoot that person talking, then what you want to do is set up on them, get whatever amount of zoom that you want, and then use your zoom in capability. So like the little magnifying glass on your camera. Normally I would use that when I'm playing back an image, and I'd zoom in and see if I've got sharp focus. Well, you can do that in live view mode. So when you're in live view mode, zoom in all the way, then adjust your focus slightly with your manual focus. That'll get you a whole lot better focus. Also, I have an exposure lock button. Always, my exposure lock button has been where if I hold it down with my thumb, it locks the exposure. If I let go, it unlocks the exposure. Well, I found that in doing the video, what I was doing was I was set up still, I had a wide shot, and then I just slowly zoomed in on my friend while he was talking. Man, every time I'm zooming in, you could see the aperture changing. Video people would call it the iris adjustment. So the aperture's changing, and so it's just like almost blinking, bright to darker to darker to dark, and it's just very, very annoying and distracting. And so what you generally will do in video is get an iris setting or an aperture setting that you like, and then lock it with the exposure lock. And I changed the function. I went into menus and changed the function of my exposure lock to actually be lock. So you press that button, and by default, you press the button. As soon as you let go, it's unlocked. Well, now mine, I press that button and it stays locked. And that's a huge help, because what I did was I zoomed in on my friend and got the exposure that I wanted, locked the exposure, zoomed back out, started the recording, and then slowly zoomed in. And even though the exposure wasn't just right when I was zoomed out, all that really mattered was the person as I was zooming in slowly. So exposure lock, you need to be aware of those kinds of things. Photography ball heads are not equivalent to a fluid pan ball head, fluid pan zoom head. Man, what a mess. I tried doing so, you just can't. I've got a really right stuff ball head. It's a great ball head, but you cannot do the video kind of smooth panning and zooming. And then some sort of stabilization rig might be helpful. If you're really getting into this, it might be a worthwhile investment. And it doesn't have to be the big over-the-shoulder harness that costs thousands plus, but some sort of rig. And then one other thing that's kind of interesting is legacy lenses actually have, some of the older lenses from all the different manufacturers have iris ring. And that might be helpful. So it would resolve that issue of the constantly changing exposure if you could manually do it. And the pros who shoot video get really good at riding the iris so that they know what the exposure should be, and they're adjusting it slightly on the fly. So that helps an awful lot. One final thing that helped me was my Hoodman loop. Now, normally I use my Hoodman loop to review images when I'm out in bright sunshine. But I'm set up on this scene, and I'm not, when you're doing video from a DSLR, typically you're using the live view to show what's going on here all the time. So I was holding it here for a little while, and then I remembered, and those of you that might remember this, I created this thing. It's 3 hair rubber bands from Target, 3 black hair rubber bands, and it's just like the Hoodman Loop Cinestrap. So I did this thing, and then strapped it, just strapped that over my camera. I'm not going to mess with it now, but I strapped it onto the back of my camera so it stayed there the whole time. Now, get a Hoodman loop. You just can't do video almost, especially outdoors, without a Hoodman loop. And then go ahead and pay $20 for their Cinestrap, or pay $2 at Target and rope your own together. But that helps an awful lot. I know it's a bunch of tips, but it's stuff that's obvious. Like I said, the video people here are just laughing at me because I'm struggling along with this stuff. But for still shooters getting into video, there are a lot of different considerations, even though we think we know our camera really well. So,
well, I think it's really timely too, with CS6 coming out with the great new video function. They've had video, but it's been kind of clunky, and now it's really smooth. RC's done some great classes on that.
Where could you learn
There
about
is a place. I've heard there's a place, something called Kelby Training Online.
Very cool. All right, Pete, thank you for that. We got to take a break, and we will be right back with a little bit more, and we're going to talk to Douglas Sonders.
I really believe that your photography is a reflection of who you are. In my posing class, you're going to learn a lot of things. How to pose a bride and bring out the best in her shape and her curves. How to photograph a groom, because many of us who may focus on the bride will ignore the groom. And getting your clients to mirror you. Mirroring, I find, is the best way of getting people to pose. I'm Jerry Gionis. Check out my class on the fine art of posing at kelbytraining.com.
All right, well, welcome back. The great thing is that we are able to have photographers from all over the world come and join us here and give us little tips and talk to us. And we've got a great little segment for you from Douglas Sonders. He's going to talk to you about supporting your community. So let's see what Doug has to say.
Hey everybody, RC here, back with Mr. Douglas Sonders, photographer, 80s lover extraordinaire.
That's right, I love the 80s.
Big 80s fan here. Now, for those of you who do not know who Douglas Sonders is, commercial photographer, right? Internationally known.
Sure.
Jobs everywhere.
That's
right.
Trying to pay the bills.
Hey, working. That's a good thing. Hey,
On location shooting, mostly.
Phenomenal stuff.
Thank you.
Phenomenal stuff. But recently,
We did yes, I did. Recently, I did my first Kelby training video, which you'll see. I show my entire process about how to do an entire advertising shoot from pre-production, putting together your team, creative development, and actually my lighting and on-location setups. And we do the shoot day, and then we go and have my retoucher, who works with me in a lot of my projects, tell you about how he puts my comps together. So you want to know how I shoot? You'll learn this class.
and that's what I thought was really, really cool, because it's like a lot of the times people see stuff and they're just, it's kind of like a hobbyist, right? You're taking a look at the shoot, and sometimes it's kind of cool to kind of open up the door and see what a professional is doing out there on an ad shoot and doing those kinds of things. So congratulations on that, because
Thank you.
I think that that's absolutely necessary. But before we go anywhere, you do have a tip with us on community. And you were telling me a cool story right before the cameras cut. And I was just like, no, don't cut that out. Leave that in, because that's a good message. So tell me about that.
Sure. Well, thank you, RC. Yeah, I'm a really big, strong supporter of the photography community. I mean, think about it. Majority of photographers out there are really, if they do photography full time, are 75% are like poverty rates. They're struggling to get by. We have to work so hard. I feel extremely lucky that I'm gone this far. And I'll tell you, there's a defining moment early on in my career where I felt like I was making some initial strides. And there's a guy I really looked up to, and I had some publicity. I did a small TV show where I was shooting this popular rapper, and I was so proud of myself and really excited. And this guy walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, I saw you on TV." And I said, "Oh, hey, thanks. I really look up to your work. I really appreciate that, you saying that." And he goes, "Your 15 minutes are almost up, kid," and walks away. And I remember, you know, I never wanted to be that guy. Now I get messages and emails from young shooters and everything, and other photographers, and I think it's really important that we share with our community. The truth is, we're all in this battle together. It's a very competitive market, and you know, you don't even know the karma that comes back when you need a really tough shoot. You need extra hands. If I'm flying into Kansas City and I don't know where there's a location, I reach out to my friends in the Twitter community and they'll say, "Hey man, I will get you." I've had people reach out, volunteer, never met them before, drive an hour out of the way to do location scouting for free to send to me, because they're like, "Hey, you've been nice. Thank you very much. I want to help you out. I just want to be there on set." I love that. The truth is, remember your community, be good to your fellow photographer, because you don't even know when you're going to need to reach out to them for help.
And I thought that was what was really, really cool about this kind of thing, because it's like a tip within a tip within a tip, because you're looking at it, right, and you're going, all right, well, you yourself as a photographer should be better than this, right? You should go out and nurture community.
Right.
But it's also very self-serving, like like you said, the Kansas City thing.
Yeah.
Right? If you need to go shoot in Kansas City and you have no idea,
right,
as to what's going on in Kansas City, that community that you're happy to serve is there also to be able to serve you.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those things where you give and you get, and through that entire process you grow. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and remember, there's always going to be somebody younger and more energetic than you, so especially be nice to those young photographers, so they'll be trampling over you later on, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
RC.
Thank you for the great advice, Doug, and thanks, RC, for doing the interview. That's always very helpful. And you know what? That stuff is actually very valid. You do need to work with your photography community. You know, you see that stuff every once in a while where people just kind of are bitter because they're in the same profession, that doesn't help anybody. And besides, if you do make it big one day, you can actually get back at them.
I was waiting to see where you were going with that one.
Now
Bomb their house.
you have a really cool tip, and I've talked about this thing. We've given this thing
Y'all
away
gave it away
before.
a little while ago.
Yeah, and I have one, and I absolutely love it. And in fact, the best ever video review for this product is on the B&H website. I did.
Wow.
I did
the
that.
best ever.
The best ever. I did the review.
The most humble.
But I really like this but go ahead and show it because we've never shown
I've
it.
written this up on Photoshop.
Oh, now, wait a minute. We need to talk about what it is before you start pulling your shirt up.
Hey. It's the greatest thing ever. I'm going to come over here so you can see. And it's the Spider holster. Y'all gave it away a couple weeks ago. But what it is, notice the sole Canon user amongst these guys, but had to represent here. What it is a phenomenal holster that you just simply slide your camera on, and it locks into place. And now your hand's free. And here, let me move to the camera. Is that a good shot right there? There we go.
Yeah, but that's a lightweight point and shoot right there,
Yeah,
right?
this will handle everything. And the thing that I love about this is they've put some voodoo in it that it won't come out. If I try to lift this up or somebody tried to come along and grab it, it will not come out until you rotate it 90 degrees and it reaches this certain point, and then you can slide it out very easily. It's an ingenious design, and I love good design.
Yeah.
And it just holds in place. You can lock it, but you don't need to because it holds it so well. I've taken this rig on, I've gone to multiple amusement parks, carried this around the whole time, shot 2 weddings with it, and it's just great. And the thing I love about it is, this is a honking camera. It weighs, 10 pounds or so?
Right.
After the end of a wedding or whatever you're doing, your shoulders are killing you no matter what kind of strap you have. This takes the weight and throws it on your hips. I walked an entire day in DC with this on, with a tripod and an extra lens, and my back was so much better wearing this than if I'd worn a strap. So I can't say enough about this. This is one of the best inventions. I think it got an award last year for one of the best camera inventions of the year. And
when I was at my last photography trade show, I was at WPPI, and they just always had a swarm of people around the booth for it. Now, there are several different versions of this. There's one with a hook up on each side.
yeah, you can. They've got modules, so you can add
Right.
stuff to it. I put an
that's
extra
a belt. Show folks
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah,
belt.
there we go. Here, make sure to get the.
Because they actually make a thing that clips onto a belt. So if you've got, if you've
Yeah, you
got
can use a
sturdy
regular belt and just clip it on.
But that one's not quite as sturdy as what you're wearing.
Well, the reason why I like this is what I'll do is I will use this Velcro strap over here. Sorry about the wire. But this Velcro strap goes all the way around here. And when I was walking around DC, I made a loop in the Velcro here and then slid my tripod right here. So I looked like a big goober walking around with a big
That's
camera and a
awesome.
tripod, but I had my hands free to go walking, and if I ever needed the tripod, I just pulled it out, put it down, fired it off, had an extra bag back here with my lens and another one for my water bottle, and I was ready to go.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a clever way to use. That's almost like cheap shotty kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah, I'm like your love child when it comes to cheap shots.
Pete, thank you very
Yep.
much. And the folks, now this is Spider Holster.
Spiderholster.com, so
Yep.
check it out on the website, go see it. They've got all kinds of gear, and it's phenomenal.
And they didn't pay us to do this.
No.
We like
I
this
stole that from RC because I liked it so much.
Yeah, very cool. We've got to take a break, but we will be right back. We're going to tell you about a photographer's site to watch and some cool stuff we're giving away. We'll be right back.
Have you been looking to take your photography to the next level? Learn from some of the world's top pro photographers and instructors? At kelbytraining.com, that experience is only a few clicks away.
Hey Jason, I'm glad you joined me today on Kelby Training. We're going to be getting some great motocross action. Guys are going to be flying over my head. Jason, we're going to be using high-speed sync and speed lights to get some great action.
Whether on location or in studio, our instructors teach you some of the most sought-after techniques, giving you a first-hand look at their work step by step. It's unlimited one-on-one training, giving you 24-hour-a-day access to hundreds of exclusive classes.
Well, Jason, we had a great class today. I hope you learned a lot with our speed lights and high-speed sync action. Remember, kelbytraining.com. It's one-stop shopping for great learning, great photography classes. We'll see you next time.
Experience a class on kelbytraining.com. Subscribe today. Visit kelbytraining.com for more information.
Okay, just for the record, I want you to know that this man is evil. Evil. This is my first time on D-Town, so he's giving me tips, and right before we come on, don't forget, and then he just stops. So I'm on my own here. I'm either going to do this right or wrong, but I wanted to make mention of what y'all just saw on the video. Kelby Training is one of the best resources out there. We sit there, even though we're part of this, I go home all the time, and when I'm working or doing something, I plug in a video, and I get to learn sitting over the shoulder of the photographers. Dave Black, if you get to watch his show, his class, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the things he does. But it makes it, for you out there that are learners like me that need to see it and kind of wrap your hands around it, it's as close as you can get to being in a class with them. And I can't say enough about Kelby Training, even though I work here.
No, I agree completely. It's a huge help. And I go back and rewatch a bunch of classes. There's an iPad version. I find myself sitting down in the evening going, I don't really want to watch the news. That's kind of depressing stuff. And you know what? I'm going to go to Kelby Training Online. And so I do that at home, sitting out on the back porch, just relaxing in the evening. Kind of a cool thing. All right, now we've got the normal show wrap-up stuff. We've got a great photographer to let you know about, and the reason I like her is because of all of her post-processing. Her name is Isabelle Green. She's a NAP member, and I've been watching her work for a lot of years, as have a lot of folks. But she does these gorgeous horse photos, and then she takes them to the absolutely the next level with painting techniques in Photoshop. I can't wait to see what she does in CS6.
Yeah.
But she's been doing this for lots of versions of Photoshop. So you know that the talent is with the individual, not a Photoshop filter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just great stuff. Look at the lighting.
It's
in
craftsmanship.
these images.
It's great work because, yeah, there's a lot of love put into that picture right there.
Yeah. So you can look up Isabelle Green's portfolio, and then we'll also have a link in show notes when it gets posted on the D-Town site, which is actually kelbytv.com/DTownTV. And by the way, that's where you need to go now. Now, if you're watching this video streaming anywhere at all, whether it's on Google Plus or on YouTube or wherever, however you watch this video, well, that's fine. Watch it wherever you want. And you can comment wherever you watch it. However, if you want to win prizes, you have to comment in the show comments at the Kelby TV site. So kelbytv.com/DTownTV, and then you just put in whatever comment you want. And you don't get a better or worse chance of winning based on what your comment is. I promise. So many people said so many nice things when I had this Kata bag here.
Oh, when there's a good prize on the line, suddenly we're really smart.
Yeah, and so some weeks we're not as smart, but in any case, any comment at all, and really, if you have things you want to see, and in fact, in the next show, I'm doing something based on some of the comments there. So that'll be my tip in the next show. But
what will they win if they send in a comment?
This week, we are giving away, and these aren't cheap. These are lens bracelets, and they're the pro level lens bracelet. I don't know if you've seen these, but lens bracelets.
Worn by the pros?
No, it's actually pro camera gear lens stuff, and they have like Leica and Nikon and Canon and.
So you can be a snob even with your bracelets.
Exactly.
Yes, I only shoot L lenses.
Only the top 1% have these. 99% of people don't. So be a 1%er and get one of the lens bracelets. And we're also giving away this. Now, Rich Harrington is a great guy.
We love Rich, and how timely to go with your tip. It's almost as if you planned this. But look at this. This is, where do I need to go? There we go.
Creating DSLR video. Rich Harrington is an expert at it. Now he's been doing video since long before DSLR video, but he's also been doing Photoshop for a long time. He's an After Effects guy, just a multi-talented guy and a great instructor. And so when he writes a book, if that's the information that I'm after, and the DSLR stuff is the DSLR video, this is the book that I'm going to go after because I like Rich's stuff.
He's the guy that we all go to when we have questions about how to do video and stuff like that. He is the answer guy.
Yep. That's it. Pete, I can't thank you enough. And in fact, I will see you next episode.
With a different shirt.
With a different shirt. We'll be back in just a few minutes if you're live. And if you're not, You got to wait till next week. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.